was in love with her best friend, but they couldn't get married because he was beneath her. And she had a lot of suitors, but she didn't want them because she didn't want England to fall in foreign hands when she died. So I think this is sort of like during this time period there are a lot of classes and sort of this mirrors like how if there's like a difference in class, how that affects the
I thought that it was mocking society, well, because like how easy it is for people to say that I'm in love, you know, going back to what y'all guys said about Romeo and Juliet, how he mocks how you meet someone one day and then you're like, oh, I'm in love with them, and you hear how easy it is to say you're in love with someone, and then the next day there's like something in your eyes, and then you're like, oh, I'm in love with this other person, that's just like seeing the connection between that and the real world. When people are like, when they think you're in love and stuff.
I wanted to go off what Maria said about how the different classes and about how that affects love, and about how Demetrius and Lysander, like, aren't they on the same like social status, but the father still wants Hermia to be with Demetrius, and I was wondering why is that it's one, why do you think that he wants her to be with one person and not the other if they're on the same level?
I think the main reason that is because back then love was about control. Like, since Hermia's father, he owns her, like she has no say in what her life is going to be, so she shows him her love by accepting marriage to Demetrius. That's her way of showing her father that she loves him, by obedience. But if she doesn't obey him and goes with Lysander, that means she hates him in his eyes. So I think that's why she wants him. That's why Egeus wants Hermia and Demetrius to be together, because it shows that she loves him, her father. Good.
I mean, but like, didn't Demetrius have an affair with Helena? So it's kind of like, why would a father want his daughter to be with a guy that already had, well, pretty much sex, and then someone who's like a virgin and is pure, and his daughter's pure, like has something better? I don't know. It's just a question.
Is it a case of like, I'm gonna pretend I didn't hear that?
Mm-hmm.
You know, kind of.
I think it's just a sense of control and of authority.
Does Demetrius hold, I don't know if you've answered this anything, but does Demetrius hold a higher class that's why?
No. Exactly the same social class.
Yep.
But the way he presented them, he presented them in a way that they're not in the same class. I don't know.
It made it seem like
he made it seem like they weren't in the same class.
They're of different value, but maybe same class. I mean, I just wonder if Egeus is so power hungry, or this assertion of power over his daughter is so important to him that even if this person is a great man or of comparable social status, he's still like, no, this is what I said. We're just gonna go with this, or I'll kill you. Like, why is it so important to put the Athenian law above the happiness or the life of his daughter?
I think it's just like sometimes, I don't know if this happened to you, but like sometimes my parents make me do things that are like irrational, and like I'm like, well, why are you gonna make me do this? Like, it doesn't make any sense. But it's like that, like what everybody's saying is that sense of power. Like, I tell you to do this, you're gonna do it. Like, even if it doesn't make sense.
Do you think that Egeus feels powerless maybe in his own life, and this is his like small way of just trying to find that power? Like something else is going on, or why is he acting this way? Or is it just to set some plot in motion? Like, what is his motivation?
For what?
What is his motivation for placing the Athenian law above the happiness of his daughter? No one, like the police don't show up at their house and say, you're breaking the law, right? He says, like, I beg the ancient privilege. I have this right. And he goes to Theseus, the Duke of Athens, and says, I want you to, make sure this rule is kept. Like, why does he do that? Why does he make such a show out of this? It's clearly making her unhappy.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing he has control over. Like, a lot of times when we don't have control over something or our lives, we want to grasp something that we can't control.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's sort of like a life raft for him. And also, like, women and men weren't so equal at this time, so maybe since his daughter was, well, his daughter's a woman and she wanted to marry some other guy, you know, the dad sort of felt like he was slipping as his, like a male authority figure.
And I wonder why he goes to the king. Like that just questions his how he feels about his power. If he felt that he has the right to do that, then he would have just done like killed his daughter. But I feel like he's using it more like to kind of like threatening type. But
Okay.
he's like threatening, like kind of like when your mom wants you to do something, like if you don't do it, I'm gonna tell your like the aunt that's mean or something. I'm gonna tell your aunt, and then you kind of get scared of confronting them. But then Hermia kind of like switched it up and was like, I'm not scared. I don't want to do this.
Yeah, I agree with Ruby. It's like a threat, but like I think he's trying to prove that the bond between a father and daughter is much stronger than between like a girl and a boy. Like family love is stronger than actual relationship love.
So if we're seeing that power is really important, and obviously like it was during these times, why is it that like Shakespeare's books are about the power of the younger people, and why do they have the most power in the book?
Why are they the focus?
Why
Do you think that young people have more conflict than those who are married and settled and kind of have a stable family life, but maybe younger people have a lot of decisions to make and have trouble making those decisions, and that's why we want to watch this play? I don't know. What do you think? Why are these plays centered around younger people?
I think it's kind of like when that short story we read yesterday, how much influence parents should have on their kids, and how that is decided. Like the children might want to disagree with the parents, and they want to do what they want, like what they decide they want to do, but then the parents implement their power on them, and then there's kind of like that fighting back and forth to see who gets more power. And I think that's what Shakespeare was thought that in deter his audience maybe.
And also, like, I guess they are also more prone to making mistakes. Like, I'm not saying that they don't have as much power when Shakespeare's plays, but mostly he centers like the parents that have much more power, because I feel like they have more experience, and like he kind of puts it on the young adults, because I feel like he knows that they're gonna mess up and they're gonna do some choices that they're gonna regret in their life.
I think that when he writes his plays and they're centered around the young people and how they're rebellious, it's sort of like he's rebelling against society in a subtle way. Like, if you remember, he married an older woman, so I guess it's sort of trying to rebel against this society in this time period.
And then going back to Aureli's question about power, I remember when I was talking about it in Julius Caesar, how Brutus is so hungry for power, and then in Hamlet, how Claudius, also the king, is hungry for power, and then now I relate it back to this one, to the Midsummer Night, and how Aegeus, is also hungry for power, but not power over a kingdom, but the only power he has over his daughter, and how like if you kind of like put it together, it seems how like the sense of power and hunger of power leads you kind of to destruction, and kind of screws up everything you're trying to build up to perfect, but in reality it just comes down into like pieces. It just crackles down.
Okay. Two things. One, you have 9 minutes remaining. The following people can step down. You have an A: Gabby, Rocio, Ruby, Areli, and Maria Espino. What else?
I have a question. So I kind of want to switch gears and like talk more about the fantasy one.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to ask, like, should Titania just give up the Indian boy, like, to stop the destruction of the human world? Because they were talking about how much influence they have on, like, I don't know, something about making the water, like the banks of the water. And, like, I don't know.
Because they're fighting.
Mm-hmm.
So like, should she just give up the Indian boy so that the conflict will stop?
I feel like a big part of the fantasy world, that like
a big part of it is that it doesn't have to follow the structure, the normal structure of society. So like during the time there was a structure like you had to follow your husband or your dad, and like it was more patriarchal. But I felt like in this fantasy land those rules don't exist. Like I felt like Titania and Oberon, they were kind of on the same level, and they had just as much power as the next person as far as like fairies. And I felt like her being able to keep that child and not listen to Oberon, it's kind of like not following that structure, and like I don't know, giving up the boy would kind of like mess that all up.
I think they get kind of, is it a foil? Whenever there's like a character that's completely opposite, I think they're kind of like the foil to the Duke of Athens, Theseus, and to Hippolyta. That Oberon and Titania, because like if you see Titania, she has like all this power, and even over Oberon, and like Hippolyta, she's kind of like more quiet.